you hear me?
I can hear you.
Say hello. Yeah, boy. Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, Baltimore, Maryland, Scottsdale, Arizona, Jacksonville, Florida, Detroit, Michigan, Hampton, Virginia, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, Dallas, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, Jackson, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Topeka, Kansas, and Kansas, Missouri, home of the Trailblazer Awards. We had that coming up sometime soon. But welcome to lunch with the Missouri Latino Commerce for March the 19th, 2022. My name is Fowlkes, your host and creator along with Elder Alan Lyles. How you doing, Red?
Fine.
You sound good. How's the family?
Fine.
Well, when I hear that voice, I know all is fine. And Brother Scott, how you doing?
Too blessed to be stressed, my friend.
Well, we had some good weather here the last couple days. You get out on your bike?
Oh, of course I've been on my bike. It's wind therapy.
Oh my God, yes. Well, anyway, here in St. Louis we had some 70-degree days, and today we are down in the 40s. But that's our weather. But we are so blessed. When you listen to FergusonUSAHotRadio.com, we broadcast live from beautiful North County, St. Louis City, and all of Missouri. We're all over the area thanks to technology. And we're just so happy to have you with us. And right now in the background, I live by the airport, so you hear a jet taking off, one of those heavy-duty jets. You know something, Ray Scott? I can tell when something's going on in the Middle East or around the world because I hear more of those cargo planes in the area taking off and stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so anyway, it is now out of up in there and going out of distance now. So on that note, we will have prayer with Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, and it's located at 5547 Little Avenue, and that's in North St. Louis. That's 63120 is the zip code. We will have prayer with Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located at 5547 Little Avenue in Beaufort, North St. Louis. At 6312 is the zip code there, and the next word you hear will be that of Elder Alan Lyles, pastor of the Walnut Park Bible Chapel Church, located at 5547 Little Avenue, and that's in North St. Louis at 63120. Elder Lyles, good afternoon, and what do you have for us, sir?
The topic today is about the resurrection, but let's go into prayer.
Yes, sir. We need that, sir.
Heavenly Father, we continue to thank you for your wonderful gospel. How that Christ died for our sin, was buried, and rose again. And by continuing to believe it to the Savior of the soul, continues to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. Heavenly Father, we thank you that we are already seated in heavenly places in Christ Jesus. And Heavenly Father, we thank you that our name is already written in the book of life. Your name can only be written in the book of life when you're born again. I'm emphasizing that because people won't say it's my name in there. Well, if you ain't born again, then your name ain't in there. So, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for everything that the gospel go forward, the souls get saved before it's ever too late. In Jesus' most precious name, amen.
Amen, Rev. We thank you for those prayers, especially those encouraging words, okay? And right now, there's so much going on, but also there's so much good going on also that we are alive. To enjoy life and to have the freedom of our speech to do what you just do is to pray together and also to pray in our churches. So right now, Rev, we'd like to bear the scripture. I know you got a good message for us, so what you got for us?
I got I'll talk about the resurrection. So I'm gonna break the word down to you what resurrection means.
Okay.
The R in resurrection means rejoice.
Okay.
The E means everlasting. The S means the Savior. The U means understanding. The R means righteousness. The R means is real. The E means eternal. The C means Christ, because he is the resurrection. And the T means is truth. And the I means is infinite. Only God can do this. And the O stands for one. There's only one God. And the N stands for he's needed.
Now, Rev, you got to repeat that again, because that was so powerful, please. First time I ever heard that done that way, so please. Come on, bring it back now, come on.
All right. The R means to rejoice.
Mm-hmm.
The E means everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
The S means the Savior.
Mm-hmm.
The U means understanding.
Mm-hmm.
The R means righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
The R means is real.
Mm-hmm.
The E is eternal. The C is Christ, and he's the resurrection. And the T is truth. It's the truth. And the I is infinite. And the zero is one, and the N is he's needed.
Wow.
And that's resurrection.
Wow, before, later on in the program, you're going to have to, say it one more time, because, the rule of three also applies to you, okay? We'll let people get their ink pen or pencils or their tablets, their phones, they can write this down. But right now, now come on, bring the message to us now.
Okay, now the message is that we started in Isaiah about the resurrection. Isaiah 26 and verse 19. And this is the first time the book was mentioned from Genesis about Christ coming to this earth was in Isaiah. Verse Isaiah 26 and verse 19. It says, "Thy dead men should live." Now that's talking about thy dead men should live. That's talking about that we were once dead when we was in unbelief, but now we have been made alive by believing the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it said, "Together with my dead body should they arise, awake, and sing, ye that dwell in dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth should cast out the dead." I'm going on to another chapter, another book about the resurrection. And it's in Daniel, the 12th chapter. verse 2 and 3, the resurrection. And verse 2, Daniel 12 and verse 2 said, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth should awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise should shine as the brightness of the firmament. And they that turn many to righteousness as the star forever and ever.
Wow.
We're going on in Hosea. We're going to see what Brother Hosea got to say about the resurrection.
He always got something good.
Yes, sir. Hosea 13 chapter and verse 14. It says, I will ransom them from the power of the grave. I will redeem them from the death. O death, I will be thy plagues. O grave, I will be thy destruction. Repentance should be hid from my eyes. I'm going on further. John, the 5th chapter. St. John, 5th chapter.
Big John. Big John.
Yes, sir. At verse 24 down to 29. Verily, verily, they're saying, truly, truly, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear it shall live. For as the Father had life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself, and had given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. They that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. I'm going on to know in Romans about the resurrection. Romans 6 and verse 5. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we should be also in the likeness of his resurrection. Going on to Romans again. Verse 11, the 8th chapter, verse 11. But if the spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead should also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. And that's because of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. You're born again Christian. I'm going on with 2 Corinthians, 14th chapter. The 4th chapter, 2 Corinthians, 4th chapter, verse 14. And verse 14 says this, knowing that he which raised up the Lord Jesus should raise up us also by Jesus, and should present us with you. And now that's the end of everything. I hope you all get something from that.
Okay, well, okay, just give us a summary.
The whole summary is that it's talking about the two resurrections.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of the first resurrection, the beginning of it was the first advent of Christ when he went back to heaven. Now, it's going to be a continuation of him. He went to heaven, the same one you saw go to heaven, which is the resurrection, is coming back and resurrect.
You know, Rev, one of the things, okay, that people understand and they don't understand because, like I said, they gotta, be saved, as you just said. To understand the Bible, you gotta understand, what's the message that's being said to you. And only when you can get into the Bible and understand the Bible, when you read the Bible. Because reading something just one time, you don't get it. And every time you read it again, it's going to show you something new that you didn't see the last time you read it. And that's the beauty of the Bible.
That's why it's a blessing in reading the Word.
Yeah.
It's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I can give that proof in 3 verses. It's a proof. The proof is the resurrection in this book where it's a blessing. Revelation 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angels unto his servant John, who bear record of the word of God and of the testimony of Jesus Christ and all things that he saw. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Amen.
Rev, if a person, I guess right now, a lot of ministers right now, you have relatively small church. There's some mega church ministers right now who are starting to, sing, again, preach different messages, for like the message scripture here, about us being in the last days, because they're actually seeing things they never saw before.
Amen.
And they're hearing things that they never heard before. And in doing that, they're asking more and more questions. The people are asking more questions, now than they asked before, because they've seen all these changes taking place right in front of their eyes.
Amen.
And even right now, this war over in Russia and Ukraine, all those territories there, okay. If you look at the map back in the old days, okay, they all were just one glob, okay, and they got divided up. And the Bible talks about that.
Amen.
Rumors of wars right now. There's talk about a World War III.
Amen.
Something that everybody talking about the atomic bombs and such. The things that's out there. And how we can get along. And one of the things that the late Rodney King was really famous for saying was, can we get along? And he was a man that was beaten like Christ was.
Mm-hmm.
And his most famous words today is, can we just get along?
Mm-hmm.
So and I guess through our lives, we're seeing a lot of stuff to come to fruition. And really, and we don't have to look abroad, but outside the United States. Right now, we have, like let's take in Texas right now. They're having wildfires down there. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
You know, and normally this time of year they be dealing with tornadoes and storms and what have you.
Yep.
But it said right now they having a drought going on now.
Right. What ain't never been before.
Well, never been before.
That's why they ought to believe. That's why read your Bible, and the Bible is being fulfilled today. Whether y'all want to believe it or not, God's word is coming to pass. You better believe that's the only thing I know that comes to pass is the word of God.
Yeah, and people just all they have to do, okay, just look around in our country, and just look at, all these weather changes that are taking place. Another thing that people understand, in our country we have, I think, 4 time zones that we have in our country, right? And so that means that, and that's about to change, right away. But one of the things over in Russia, I think they have, Scott, help me out, they have 11 time zones over there.
Probably, but you're forgetting Alaska and Hawaii.
Oh yeah, okay, well yeah, so you get out there, right? Okay, so again, but Russia has, I think, 11 time zones, and they all contiguous, all land locked together. There's no water in between.
Stand by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 time zones.
They have nine time zones.
Wait a minute. Yeah, it's 9 now, but it used to be 11.
It used to be 11, that's right, because something lost for it. Anyway, but right now, could you imagine having to live with 11 time zones? But anyway, yes. But anyway, just some thought for today. Right now, Rev, I want to thank you so much for the prayers. Thank you for the blessings that you bring forth with your prayers, and for the words you bring every Saturday. Clarification of what's going on in our world. And on that note, we also use the purpose in USA, hottalkradio.com. Also, you can observe our team comments on a beautiful, the sun just came out, on a beautiful Saturday afternoon of March the 19th. Scott, kick us out of here. Right now, as we kind of said this before, if you're looking at rearview mirror, we need to be cognizant how far we come. As a matter of fact, this figure is just a staggering figure, okay? Almost, when this hit 79 million people. 86,762 cases were reported of COVID-19. This as of the 16th, which was a couple of days ago in the United States. That's 76% of our entire population. You know, and a good part about this is that at least 65% of our populations have received they are fully vaccinated. That's 65% is fully vaccinated. I mean, they got the 3 shots, and also the bad part is always to go along with that is 9,965,575 people are no longer with us. So this has been one of the largest death things to hit our country in history. And so we just want to be thankful, okay, for those who are still here and still be conscious, okay, of what's going on. Now, if you lost your family member due to COVID-19, the federal government, which is the Federal Emergency Management Association, or FEMA, they are providing federal assistance for COVID-19 funeral expenses that occurred after January 20th, 2020. So now, if you have lost a family member, and you can also, we naturally, they've been buried or cremated or what have you, you still are eligible for these funds. And so you got to pencil out, please. You need to call 844-684-6333. That's 844-684-6333. And our rule is that thing, the numbers and addresses 3 times. It's 844-684-6333. Now that is if you've been if you had a loss of a loved one, and the federal government provided over $1 billion for funeral expenses, and naturally this created a hardship for a whole lot of people when this took place, when you lost a loved one. And so the best thing to do now, okay, is to call that number, and naturally you have to provide the death certificate and information like that, which you probably do, but you have. And what that will do, okay, will allow you to recoup some of your losses. Because one of the things, the COVID-19 has been a very much, impact on families and financial blessings, financial, hardships for them. So please call that number and see if you can get some assistance. And also, please to take care of yourself. There's an upswing in cases in Western Europe right now, and Asia. Some experts are casting a weary eye toward the future. And they say, no, what does that mean? Well, right now in Europe and also Israel and places like that, United Kingdom, we talked about this a while back. COVID-19 has not actually gone away. Right now, we talked about this, the Omicron B2A virus strand of COVID-19. They got different names for it, but this is another strand that's right now that's coming across the waters. And over there in Europe now, they have gone on, matter of fact, in China, places like that, they have actually have lockdowns all over again. And so that means don't throw your face masks out, okay? And I know a lot of places right now, have canceled their restrictions on the face mask. But right now, please continue to protect yourself. And I was with my doctor a couple weeks ago, and she was very clear, and she said, Ira, these doctors have information they can't always share with us but they know in advance what's going on. So I advise you. And right now, to explain how this is working out right now in this country, Pfizer and the Moderna corporations are asking the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, to authorize a fourth shot for adults. Now, this means that there's a reason for this, and so right now to be fully vaccinated for the new virus, the new strands that's coming our way, this is what being suggested now. This has not been approved yet. They're still going through the process of approval, and the FDA got to go through it. Then you got to go through CDC, but it's a process. But right now, we ask everyone to continue if you can. Keep your face masks on. When people are coughing, and matter of fact, to make matters kind of bad here, we're going into the flu season. Well, like I said, it's the spring. That's the shit. We got the sinus, we got the sneezing, and all that stuff. So again, there are people out there that have not been vaccinated. So still be cautious as you possibly can. And one thing you can do really easy without putting a mask on, just kind of social distance a little bit there. And also you can continue washing your hands. Those are things that still can make a whole lot of difference to a whole lot of people. And as we go into this next phase here, there are about 3 dozen countries right now worldwide who will start making generic versions of the Pfizer norovirus pill. So right now there'll be more readily available to people, okay, and people who can afford it, it'll be cheaper also. And also something that was very close to my heart is the nation's historic black colleges remain on edge. People are not aware there have been a lot of bomb threats have been called into the colleges. And there was a whole lot of them took place during the month of Black History Month, and some of them are still kind of taking place. Well, the federal government, law enforcement agencies have identified at least 6 suspects. Now they believe that a third of the 101 colleges at some point have got a call. But right now, the investigation has identified at least 3 suspects. And the bad part about this, these are all juveniles that's doing this. And so right now, we want you to be very, very,
cognizant.
Cognizant. I won't say visual. Keep a visual for the scripture. If you know people in college, and a lot of times, you say, well, why is this important, unimportant? Well, if you're on a college campus and you call in, you shut down the whole campus, and that's a whole lot of money you got to spend. A lot of money you got to spend, but it had to be spent, but again, so we thankful for that. And also, let me get back to the COVID-19 here in the state of Missouri. This past on Friday, our Attorney General has sued the city of St. Louis County, and almost every school district in the state, okay, about face mask mandates. Well, we all knew that at some point these face masks were going to end. It's just a matter of time. And so now he dropped all these lawsuits. And not only him, okay, it's around the country, but a lot of people who did that. But in his case, I won't call his name. I won't give the name, but he's our Attorney General. And as he's run for higher office, that's creating name recognition, okay, but he's cost taxpayers money. Matter of fact, here in Missouri, one of the things that we have going in our legislature here, and this comes controlled by the Republicans, and especially on our Senate side, we want to 4 states in the whole United States has yet to approve a redistricting map, for the congressional seats. We have yet to approve a map, okay, that will actually affect our city boundaries, our county boundaries, or designated boundaries for our state representatives. And it's mainly because this election that we had coming on for our United States Senate seat that Roy Blunt is stepping down, and you got about 6 people right now, including our former Governor Greiten, who are trying to get to be elected senator. And in that process, a couple of senators in the Senate in Jeff City, the senators right now, who are now wanting to run for that seat, in the congressional seat, in the Senate seat, I should say, and they're holding up the bills in Jeff City. They will decide whether it be 6 safe seats, that they call it, and 2 Democrat and 6 Republican. And one of the things they come out doing, if you ever been to the Kansas City, Missouri, that's a metropolitan area, larger than St. Louis right now. And they want to put Kansas City, Missouri in the same district and stretch all down to the Ozarks. Now that's a big old district, okay? But for you have a lot of different people in it, and what it does, it tears up neighborhoods. Now the majority, the legislators right now are in agreement of the 6-2 map, which he thinks that they are. But these 4 or 5 senators right now are refusing to let them vote on it. They're filibustering. And so again, that word filibuster is raised its head here. So as all this taking place, our politics still are playing out. So right now, the other 3 other states are having similar problems because for various reasons. So again, as we talk about this from time to time, there's a big difference right now in the census count, how this is going to be redistricting. And we talked about this, last year or the first year, no matter where you are, this is coming to your neighborhood in some kind of shape, form, or fashion. And also, we have to be talk about this also. In Washington D.C., the news has been dominated by the Ukraine and the Russia involvement and stuff. But in Washington D.C., all the things are still taking place that are important to our country. We're having the Congressional Select Committee in the House of Representatives. They're continuing their investigations every day. They're having people come in and stuff. And matter of fact, it's not being talked about, but it's also very, very real. And so they're concluding that was an attempt to throw a conspiracy, to overthrow our government. And he said, well, how was that to be? Well, it was naturally when Vice President Pence was to vote, they were trying to come up with a way where all those people that were involved with that, there was illegal action now, and now those people right now are trying to hide their records and stuff. As we said before, one thing you can always find out about, if you're in government, your records, your conversations, your emails, your letters that you write, any correspondence, they had to be kept. As a matter of public record now. And so now it's kept for a reason. Like now, people want to go back and see what were you doing. And sometimes when you're actually in power, it doesn't occur to you that a record is being kept, I should say. So right now, that's kind of Scott, that's kind of interesting because in the government, everything that you do, they're gonna document. Am I right?
Everything, even without the government, everything is documented.
Yeah, even without the government, everything is documented. Even when you work with corporations right now, people say, well, how do they do that? Well, if you email somebody, if you go on the internet, on Facebook, all those different places you can go, it's all there. And there's no matter. We tell people all the time, especially our young kids and young people, be very careful what you're putting out there about yourself, or what you're showing, and all the there. Because right now, when people hire people, they want to get your social media history. Matter of fact, a good friend of mine does background checks for the federal government. He said, I can't count the people who have missed out on 6-figure job, mainly because some of them wrote when they were very young. So we tell people to be very careful of what you write. It doesn't go away. It does not go away. It does not go away. So anyway, all those records they did then, they were so focused on what they're trying to get done, they didn't think about the records that were being cut. Yeah. And now they come back to North Carolina now. So anyways, that's taking place. And also in Washington D.C., this is also Media Month, but also it's Women History Month. And right now, up in D.C., the confirmation federal judge, Judge Jackson, Brown, I won't mess her name up, Ketanji, Kajanti, is that how you pronounce this guy?
I'm sorry?
How you pronounce it, Kajanti?
Spelling again?
Ketangi.
Kajanji.
Yeah, Kajanti Brown Jackson. No, she's a federal judge, and right now she's the first black female to be nominated for a Supreme Court justice seat, and her confirmation hearing starts next week. And for all practical purposes, okay, she should be confirmed. And there'll be a matter of fact, the first black female. And matter of fact, she has joined a couple other ladies on the Supreme Court now. So right now, as we look at how women affect our government, more and more, we're seeing that taking place. As a matter of fact, in our corporate boardrooms, you're seeing women, be in position to make decisions. In our politics, they're making decisions. So women right now need to be congratulated that they have fought for their rights and stuff, and they're winning. So right now, speaking of women, one of the things that has taken place recently, there's been for years. I think right now they say 80% for every dollar that a man would make, the woman makes 80%. 83 cents of it, she's paid. So that's like 17%, that she paid less than the man, per dollar. Well, in the National Soccer League, for the female soccer league, these women had won more titles, and they had, than men had, but they were making less money. So they went to court, and guess what? Now they are paying equal pay. So women now are gaining more rights, and now that is taking place where it is taking place naturally where the track associations with women, all the track stores, they win gold medals all the time. But they are paid less also. So now they also are going to be filing some lawsuits challenging how they can be paid equal pay like men can be paid. And I think that's no more than fair. And not only would that be in those sports, but I think any sport that you're going to find now that, that's going to be the case. Because right now, most jobs, union jobs right now, if you go on a job right now, if you're a female, you're going to be paid the same thing that a man is being paid. And also, we were just speaking a few minutes ago here about the bad weather that's taking place in Texas. Well, the researchers believe a mega drought. That's a big word, mega drought. That's a big major. For the first time, this is the worst in over 1,200 years. It was caused by climate change. What that means is that we have the tornadoes and the storms across the Midwest and then in the South and on the East Coast. Wildfires are burning out of control in Texas, which is unbelievable. And also we have in California. Also in the Fort West, as we call it, well, we had all the wildfires taking place. Well, you've got to come into the rainy season out there, so there could be more mudslides. But still in California, you still have people right now who have water shortages, and it hasn't gotten any better. And so again, this is not good whatsoever. Okay, and also Amazon in the business world. Let me get back to one thing on this thing with Amazon, with Ukraine. Well, this past week, President Biden spoke to President Xi of China, and because one of the things that Russia did was ask China for assistance. Well, they asked them for some money. They asked them for more weapons. Because it's quite apparent that the war that they got going on is not going the way it's planned, and so that's not a good thing, and so consequently, they are running out, ammunition. They need more money because the sanctions are creating all kind of problems, and also they need money. Okay, now one of the things, okay, that when President Biden was talking to President Xi of China, now sanctions in Russia are creating all kind of problems. Now Russia also deals with China, so they are a trade partner. So that's one of the benefits that Russia has with China. But now this is the amount of money that the European nations, EU, they spent $828 billion in China, in trade dollars. That's $828 billion that China spends every year. Now Russia spends every year in trade dollars $146 billion. So China right now, if they had the sanctions that's going on right now, against Russia, if the European nations, the United States, had sanctions against them, they would lose $828 billion. Now, that doesn't include the United States, which trade dollars are $755 billion. That's a lot of money, okay, that China will lose. So right now, the request is in. They had a long talk, and so right now, China will stand, to have a hard hit. And also, the United States is in debt to China also. We use China goods on a lot of stuff. So that's why I said this whole thing there, what's going on over there in Russia, it's going to affect a lot of people in China, Ukraine, a lot of people in a whole lot of ways. And not only that, we're seeing gas prices go up. You're seeing, food prices go up. Matter of fact, right now, the gas is just going crazy at the top, okay? But right now, we're looking at the stock markets. They up and down, but we had our first mortgage rates right now are also starting to go up. And for the first time, in a little while here, we're seeing that now. We had an increase, in interest rates this week, and that was for the first time since 2019. Mortgage rates have gone over 4%. So that's going to change everything that's taking place out here. I mean, not just everything. There's very few things that would not be affected as we go through this process. And so again, as we look at this, and as we look at this, I just thought to mention to you that now this is large, people. This is very large. Amazon, which we know right now, is going through the changing the way life goes, and right now Amazon just closed, or just purchased, for lack of a better description, MGM Studios. Now they are the oldest studios in Hollywood, and they spent $8.5 billion. Now to us, that's a whole lot of money, okay? But to Amazon, that's just a drop in the bucket, okay? Because they're making over $100 million a year. I mean, and also, you see that's huge. Well, they paid, most recently they paid in 2017, they spent $13.7 billion for Whole Foods, which they got into the grocery business. And then that's when they got into that, okay, that's when they started, giving Walmart and those other stores, all these and all them are run for their money. So Amazon right now is making a change in the way everything takes place, and at the same time, it probably will affect MGM Studios. Well, you're talking about how that work. Well, most of your movies, your TVs, what you see on Netflix, and all that, all those things, TVs and movies that you may have, the old movies that are that coming back that they have. If you look at some TV shows, they're bringing back a lot of old shows that that had not been seen in a long time. Well, those things are all controlled by these studios, and they bring those shows back. They make money all over again. And then yes, they continue to make movies. Now we hadn't seen a lot of big movies coming out because most of it now is going streaming online. And so that is that is also going up. So right now, Scott, I don't think there's very few things that stay the same. I'm right, Scott?
That's correct.
So, and I mean, but again, now, one big thing here that this time of year, well, first of all, the NCAA March Madness, yes. It's on CBS, several TV stations, cable networks now. And this is when the college basketball best teams play against each other. And to me, it's so exciting because these young men are playing for in most cases, this is their last time playing together as a team. Their first and last time probably being on national TV. And also, you see all these teams that are playing, all these young men, only maybe about less than 10% of them, will become professionals. But you see the teamwork, you see the best of teamwork, and you see how that excitement just flows. When they win, miss a shot, make a shot, it's just so exciting. To me, this is sports at its best. It's not like in college basketball. Professional basketball, where you see them. These guys making billions and millions of dollars and stuff. But these young men out here. But the good part about it now, they are now starting to get paid also, which is a good thing. But for them, they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for the prestige of their schools, for their countries, for their colleges, and the respect they have for their colleges. And so right now, Scott, we'll take a little small break here. We look at Ferguson USA, HotTarget.com on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Lunch in Missouri. Jimmy Conway, Scott, take us out of here. transition here. This month is a lot is taking place, as we were saying earlier, that the baseball season has finally gotten started. And that's a good thing. They will be playing 162 games, which means everyone will get paid their full salaries. And this was a strike, okay, that was all about money. And it's all about the money that us fans will pay. And one of those things that is taking place here nowadays is the use of the money that has been paid these teams by the cable companies, by the networks, and what we pay as fans. Matter of fact, the money they make coming in, okay, is very little compared to what they make, from the networks and what they're paying. As a matter of fact, this was one of those wars between the billionaires and the millionaires, for lack of a better description, okay. And right now it seems as though us small fans, it didn't equate. But right now, they want to pay the 162 games. Because these games, matter of fact, like in case of St. Louis, Missouri here, or in Kansas City, we have two teams in the state. Well, those games they play, those home games they play, 81 home games in each city, that is revenue that will make most cities survive. Because you got people coming in for hotels, you got money coming in, for them renting cars, they buying food. So baseball is a real big industry. And the same way as we talk about this NCAA tournament, as this takes place, you got all these hotels, transportation taking place. All this is taking place all at one time. So right now, I guess we can safely say, as we're talking about how important this is. Well, it seems like our country is getting back to normal. And in getting back to normal, you now have people out now going to restaurants, going to these games and stuff, and the good part about it is, the morale is good now. Everybody's excited. Everybody's doing things. But now, while that is taking place, here in the St. Louis area, and I think across the country, we're having more and more carjackings, police being shot unnecessarily. In this area, in this month alone, we lost at least 2 or 3 police officers. Am I right, Scott?
I'm not sure, but I think you're close.
Yeah, I know we had one in Bonterra, Missouri, which is not far from St. Louis, and you also had one in Joplin.
Yeah.
And in most cases, these officers are just driving up, to a scene, what we normally be a normal discussion, and people just come out and start shooting at them. I mean, it's almost like an ambush. And the bad part about this, in most cases, a lot of these police officers are volunteers. In small towns, they cannot afford to be able to pay, a regular salary. You know what I'm saying? And so we have volunteers who will come along, and they take on the responsibility of doing a job that pays maybe $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And they're doing it for their communities. And so one of the things that we're looking at as we look at this nowadays, we need to also as we wait for our guests to call in here, we're looking at the things that are taking place, in our neighborhoods, that development. In most cases, a lot of politicians are now announcing that they are now spending money that's coming from that came out from the money that was spent in the infrastructure program. A lot of money for highways, bridges. You are now seeing construction workers, all over the place. And this has been a good thing for a lot of people. Okay, as a matter of fact, it is so bad that we're having problems.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, sir? I'm happy to have as my guest this afternoon, Mr. M.C. Richardson. He does a show here on Ferguson, USCHotTopRoad.com. Every Saturday at 5 to 6. He does a show named Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. And so today he's being our guest. And as a matter of fact, yes, from Kansas City, coming to Kansas City, we've been on the air for over 30-some years. So, Mr. Richard, tell us about the show.
Well, the show was really, came from the origination, or the name came from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So we got it copyrighted, and we got it the trademark, so can't nobody else jump on and say, I'm representing Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. And our show is, we've been doing that for 32 years, and I just want to know, how's the weather in St. Louis? I understand it's beautiful here.
Well, it's beautiful here. We're all across the state now because we had some rain last night, but we were fortunate enough not to get the storms that's now going toward the east. One thing we talked about earlier on the program, and I know you know a little bit about this, that the weather change that we're seeing down in Texas right now. You got these wildfires and stuff going all around the country. We having droughts, melting of ice caps in the North Pole and stuff like that.
Well, I know I was leading into what we got going on here in Kansas City. And we got Bob Senator and Mike Garrett, the Grand Masters. They got the St. Patty's Day parade going on now. I understand it's real well attended.
Oh, wow. We had here in St. Louis, that's kind of interesting. In St. Louis, they had the St. Patrick's Day parade last Saturday downtown. But now having said that, they had the St. Patrick's Day parade, in different neighborhoods this past week, in downtown, and matter of fact, they all were well attended, MC.
Well, that's what they said about today. They said the people out there, they say, even I got a call, they said they're going to do the Ethnic Enrichment Festival in Kansas City again. It's been kind of, they haven't had it because of the different bad weather we had, not weather, but the virus and thing. But we used to broadcast, Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, from Fowlkes is going to be there in the third week in August, and probably hook up with your show and my show and see how we can best, because it's something, they attract over 65 different countries. However, the people that they bring here, they didn't just come to the United States. A lot of them been here 10, 15, 20 years. But they represent all the different countries. And the one that they have all the different ethnic foods and things, and they really have a 3-day turnout. People come from all over. A lot of people come down from St. Louis to the ethnic enrichment. So I got to get more into that. But there's so much going on that people need to know, and that's why I have always saying the public has a right to know, and you make sure they know that in St. Louis and Ferguson.
Oh yeah, well not only that, like our show, your show, Fowlkes, we've been heard all around the world. What our shows are, thanks to being an internet radio station that we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and also we can hear our podcasts on Spotify, and matter of fact, I'm always don't want to be remiss, but thanks to Mr. Scott Owen. Scott, thank you again for all that you do, because of you, the technology that we have over here that we have now, that's taking place, and we are now going places that we couldn't been before because of what you know how to do, and nobody else at the station before in our history knew how to take advantage of us being an internet radio station. So Scott, thank you very much.
Well, that's great with Scott Owens doing what he does, and when he's not, he's riding his motorcycle. Okay.
That's right.
But anyway, is he on the phone with us?
Yes, Scott, he's right here.
Oh, okay. I gotta send you my bill for announcing your name, Mr. Scott Owens.
We'll put it on account.
Okay, again, but you know what? The weather here is so beautiful today, and like I was talking about that how it differs. One day it might be 50 degrees, next day it might be below zero. But that's Missouri for you, or Kansas City and St. Louis for you. Although it gets a lot colder in St. Louis than it does here in Kansas City, but we have to really respect our second largest city in the state of Missouri. And we're sometimes get in Springfield, St. Joe, whatever. But the deal is, our station, our network, we reach around the world, and people get a good opportunity to listen and tune in on stuff that they don't normally hear on regular radio or TV. We've been able and very fortunate to bring them some of the top people, the latest news, and we just, if we can get more sponsors and get more listeners, hey, and also the station, local station here, Carter Broadcast, they're supposed to be simulcast, and guess who's coming to Kansas City? So think about that. Think about Ferguson. Think about guess who coming to Kansas City? Think about Carter Broadcast. You covering everything.
No, well, by the way, Carter Broadcasting is the oldest black communication group in the country.
Yeah, they were the third black-owned station, but now they're the oldest, because the first one was down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
But we're very fortunate to get stations like that, and a lot of stations would like to duplicate, say, Carter Broadcast. Say, then we used to call it KPRS, but now they have 3 stations. A lot of people tune in. They do a little combination: hip-hop, community-type radio, rock and roll, and what have you. And the same thing up in Fowlkes and St. Louis, the things that you guys do, and bring the people on that other people can't get on, or the people don't want to. I doubt very seriously that too many people would say, I don't have time to be on you guys' station, on your network. That just is not true.
Well, and besides that, they can always download a show if they want.
Yeah.
Well, tell our public how they download. How can they reach? How can they get shows that was played 2 months ago?
Well, you can go to FergusonUSAHotTalkRadio.com and go to the podcast library page, and you can find out all your podcasts and all of your recordings right there.
What kind of feedback are we getting from the podcast? I know you talk about reaching 5 countries. What kind of feedback are you getting for that?
I haven't looked at that recently, but just on this show or on this on Facebook, we're getting over 500 people a month, and you two are the only shows that I have right now.
And by the way, having said that, Scott, that's a perfect segue. We have a new show coming online next month.
Yes, we do.
And as a matter of fact, it'll be being originated, from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And so again, we're growing, and what we're doing now, is, matter of fact, we are also, Scott, this is a good time for us to do a commercial for our station to get people, who's looking for a way to the organization to talk about what they're doing. They can call Scott Owens. Give us the number, the phone, how to get in contact with you guys. Yeah, 3 times, as you know, Scott.
I do. My phone number is 314-277-0621. And again, 314-277-0621. And once again, 314-277-0621. You can also reach me through Facebook, through YouTube, through Twitch, and through the web page. So.
Well, let me interject at this point.
Yes,
what is the format of the incoming station from Atlanta, Georgia?
They're going to be a video presentation, whereas we're going to have them live on video.
And matter of fact, what they're doing, I won't tell the name of the show, but I can tell you what they will be doing. They will be utilizing all of the people, see, right now Georgia is about to be a very, it's not about to be right now, it's a hot state in the country. This year they got an election going on down there, like Stacey Abrams. We had an election for Mr. Warnock, who was, elected there. So that election taking place. Women right now on the move in Georgia, and so we're going to in the show is have a female host also, which is something that we're bringing back to Chelsea, okay? And so all these things is right now what we're doing is kind of expanding our base, expanding our work network, and we're saying this is Women History Month. So right now we're bringing another show back. Now in our past we have had female shows on our program, that have been very successful. And so again, the young lady, as a matter of fact, I will promote my show next Saturday. She will be our guest on our show next Saturday.
And
something else for people, a lot of women, most women know it was Women History Month, but also a lot of people, even the news media here, it's also Black Press Month, March is.
And also, MC, we are somewhat remiss here. You and I met about 40-some years ago, it sounds like, maybe even sound like longer, but through an organization called National Black Media, was it?
National Black Media Coalition.
National Black Media Coalition, okay. And I was here in St. Louis, and you were in Kansas City, and you also was a vice president on the national level, and where you had at least 20-some states, okay, that you were responsible for. But before that took place, okay, you had created an organization called UMA, United Minority Media Association.
Well, we serve, we're vice president of the National Black Media Coalition, but we serve 27 states, but not limited to. And we interact with the broadcast, the press association, the educational institutions, and organizations and agencies that really mean so much to us here in America and beyond. And this is great that you can get local people. And Missouri, we got to be there. What's our motto? You don't have to try to figure it out. It's a show me state. And that's what we're doing, showing the people by tuning into our show. Once again, your show today, what's the name of your show today? The frequency, so people out there might just accidentally slip by and want to say, what station is that? Kind of give the public what's going on with your station, the name, and why you put it in reality.
Well, Lunch with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and that came about here in the state of Missouri. Ferguson, USA, became a rallying cry for so many things that took place in the Michael Brown era when the young man was killed. And one of the things now that's taking place that this station came out of that, and it's called Lunch with the Chamber of Commerce. And also, as we kind of transition here, MC, right quick, today we normally would have had Cheyenne Hubbard on, who's our young person, who's our, she's our the blue one, as I call it, the Z generation. But she's under the weather, and like most good men, good families, her mother, Candace Price, is going to step in to help her out here. So, Candy, how you doing?
I am doing good. How are you today?
Well, life is good. MC Richardson quite well. How so he's on the line also.
MC.
Well, I thought you're not in Seattle. You're in Kansas. Where are you?
I'm in Kansas. I'm back. I was in Seattle, but we flew back in. So,
well, when we talk about Candy, we talk about Candy Jr., we talk about Cheyenne, but this young lady, she's been abroad, a singer, that Price family, they in everything, okay? She's also been to Shanghai, she's been to Singapore. I didn't know she could even home songs, but she's been on that stage, and she should give us her background. She's not only filling in for her daughter, but she also, her history doing this type of thing, the world should know. And can it give us a little background, how you got involved in all this? I remember when they was doing Pam Grier, they was doing Rico Fred Williamson over on Shores. There Candy was there taking pictures. And her daddy had that director cap, okay? They were actually filming that. So she's been involved like her father so many years prior to people. I think she kind of a little quiet though. She didn't want nobody to know. But you couldn't help but know a Candy Price. Now, if you did wrong, you know who she is quickly.
Well, right now, Candy, well, I'm happy to have you here because this is Women History Month, and you have made history. First of all, okay, you and your husband, Wayne Hubbard, have the longest running, continuous running black show, called Urban American Outdoors in the country. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct. And MC, thank you. I mean, and Ira, thank you so much for being so kind and saying all those great things about me. But it all stemmed from the family core values and how we were raised and brought up and all of that. So I had to give props to my grandparents, my dad and mom, and then my brothers who were older than me. I learned so much from just being in their presence. So I had to give, honor. And then, when we were coming up, we had a great village. And in our village, in the neighborhood, we used to watch out for one another. So I had some great women before me that actually were my mentors, like Mary Ann Slunder of Kansas City, Kansas, and Donna Coney of Kansas City, Missouri. They were my role models, and Inez Kaiser was also one. She lived down the block, and my Aunt Jean, who started the Dale Sprites, and I just had so much richness around me. I better not go wrong,
Well, Kenny, one of the things, okay, that not only your show has been long running. How many Emmys have you guys won?
Well, we actually started airing the fall of 2003. So we've been nonstop weekly across the United States and globally. Our show runs somewhere, somehow, every week. And we're still on. So that's actually been a blessing, and a lot of people don't know that. And we've been 4 times Emmy nominated and Gracie Awards and all sorts, about 75 broadcast and cable awards. So when they say things like there has never been, black this or that getting Emmys or whatever or nominated, well, we have done that. We just don't know about it.
Yeah, well, Candy, not only that, okay, Urban American Outdoors is a program that has expanded beyond just being in the media. It also works in the community because here in St. Louis, we have several fishing derbies that we were having here in St. Louis, out in Ferguson, I should say, at January Walgreens Park, that was well attended, okay, for the young people who got fishing poles, who were fishing around the lake. And you and Candy and the team we had the kids, baiting hooks for the first time. Yeah. And showing them how they could feed their families and have fun at the same time.
Oh, yes, definitely. We were connecting communities to nature. And we started that about 17 years ago. We started in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, and we were in the urban core. We noticed that in our travels, when we do our TV show, that there were events, and they'd had fishing events, but I never saw any of our children there. And I think a lot of times what it was is that they just weren't welcome, and they didn't feel comfortable being in a space. So we created a safe space in the urban core that they could attend and have the same opportunity and access right in their own neighborhood. And so we stopped the time, provide the poles, the bait, and just, word of mouth and flyers or whatever, and then pack. So it lets you know that there is people that are interested in doing this, but they want to recreate where they feel safe and welcomed. And that's what we created.
Yeah, because matter of fact, right here in the St. Louis area, in the Ferguson, the kids right now, excited because normally this time of year we start gearing up with COVID-19. We were going to our 4th year, if I remember so right. I'm right, Candy, that you guys were about to do it here.
Yes, we were. The reason that we didn't have it the last couple of years is because of the pandemic. It wasn't, even though they said you could go out I still had trepidation with that. I felt like it was more airborne, which they have just recently said that it was. And I just didn't want to put our families in jeopardy, having them at an event that they could possibly catch COVID. It just wasn't right to me. So we did one virtual one as well, and it hit in 39 different states. People participated, and we were really surprised and shocked with that. We were very happy. So this year we are going to maybe get back out there and have it. I know we're going to do the one in Kansas City, Missouri, Juneteenth weekend, which we've always done. We've always been a group that celebrated Juneteenth even before the nation recognized it. I think in Kansas City we've been doing it since the 80s. So we always have for the last 17 years, our Urban Kids Fish Derby, Father's Day, Juneteenth weekend, and we will be having that in Spring Valley Park this year, starting.
And also, Candy, we have to say that the fishing derby was held all around the country, not just here in Missouri, even in Washington D.C. You had it in L.A. and places like that. Tell us about that.
Yes, we would have it. Of course, Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Kansas, Ferguson, Missouri. We would do it in Milwaukee, Portland, L.A., in that area, like Ken Tom Han, that's the famous thing in Inglewood. Everybody goes there. So we have it there, but we have it at the Washington Mall, on the Washington Mall, at Constitution Gardens, which is a pond. And so that's where we would have it. And we were looking forward to maybe having one this year. Then we've got a call from the D.C. Parks and Rec, and they said, "Can you come and do that derby?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's look into it." But we're going to check and see how the pandemic's going before we commit 100%. But we're all across the country, and then Jackson, Mississippi called, Springfield, Massachusetts called. I mean, places all over because they know it's a need for this.
Well, what it does, okay, and I've been involved for a couple of years, but there's nothing like seeing a kid's face when they catch their first fish.
Nothing like it.
There's nothing like it, and just, matter of fact, you got the pictures that we have from the Derbys going by, and just to see the kids, matter of fact, this is not just for boys, okay? Mm-hmm. You have some girls out there.
Girl power.
Yeah, girl power, okay.
Mm-hmm. There's girls out there, and they outfish a lot of people. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's wonderful,
Ken, and a good thing about this, I'm happy to say, as the Missouri Chamber of Commerce got involved, we were able to get some corporations like Bass Pro Shops and some other people before now are now starting to get on board, okay, with the Urban American Outdoors, because it's like a brand that you guys have created, okay. Not only have you been successful, in the outdoors, you guys have also, with you and your husband, been successful in getting things done up in Washington D.C., where I know he's not a female, but Wayne, your husband, okay, sits on some national boards now. It's a first time for blacks in history, and that they tell a little bit about that also.
Yes, that has definitely been. We work on we actually work on policy. So we're in the room at the table and putting down recommendations that have actually been included. So a lot of things that people see has been included due to the work that Wayne has done and myself. I was on a federal advisory committee from 2012 for 5 years under the Obama administration for the Forest Service planning rule. And the planning rule, it helps them write management for all. They have 193 million acres of land that they manage, that the U.S. Forest Service manages, but they have to have a plan, a management plan. So we worked on that. It had not been done since the 80s when Reagan was in office. So they had old plans, and this is 21st century, so you have to update them. And this was the first time that they had youth in underserved markets included in the planning rule, So I got to write all the great stuff in there, talking about youth, underserved, underrepresented communities to be included in that, because the Forest Service or your lands are very important, because that's where the majority, about 80% of our water comes off of those lands. You know, when you turn that faucet on in your local area, a lot of that water has traveled, you know, through the rivers or whatever, off the Forest Service. So it's important. Water is so important, you know. So we fight on it.
And another thing that you guys have done through your efforts, okay, is create all type of scholarship for blacks, underserved people. Because right now the federal government is looking for those people right now.
Oh, yes.
And almost every college in the country right now also offers scholarships to people in agriculture.
Yes, they have a lot of scholarships that are circulating, and also they have job opportunities, and they have, you know, conservation corps, and one of the big ones that may come up is the climate corps, which is very important. So our young people, we want them involved, and sometimes if they have those internships, we hope they get paid from $15 to $18 per hour as they work on these particular jobs, you know. So it's a lot of work that we've been doing on this.
You know, let's do this. We're talking about all these beautiful things, but getting back to the fishing derby and the pond, the lake, or whatever, well stocked. I already said about bass. What other fish do you stock your derbies with?
You said, what do we stock on?
Stock what type of fish?
Well, we do catfish, which is a big, thing for the kids to catch that catfish. Bluegill, fish. We also do trout, depending on where we're at. So it's a variety, and sometimes it's bass and crappie, depending on where we are and what the season is. So
you do a good job on that, but however, if you get tired of fish, you do a little hunting. And tell us something about that.
Well, Wayne grew up in Nowata, Oklahoma, and he's an indigenous man, meaning that he is black and native, and he's not part of the Cherokee tribe. So he grew up in Oklahoma, and that's what they did. They hunted, they fished, they farmed, they did everything, you know, on the land, and everything they would harvest, they would eat. You know, anything that they catch, nothing goes to waste, and they share. So that's part of his upbringing and his philosophy. And so with our show, we incorporated it into the show, because we do outdoor lifestyle, so we do everything. But he also does hunting, and he would hunt for deer and elk and bison, and then he'd share his harvest. He'd bring back his food and share his local board, local, you know, shelters and women, battered shelters, all of that. He'd take care of all sorts of people. So that's why it was. And then he would bring back some and put it on our cooking show, which we had created back in 2004-5 as well. And so we had one of those first cooking shows. Whatever he harvested, he would bring back and put on the show as well.
You know, also we're talking about game and thing, and they say I think the coasters put out "I'm a Hog for You, Baby." They haven't given me any wild boar yet, and then I think it's the limit when they hunt wild turkeys too.
Right. So we had all of that, but we would share. There are a lot of people that would be asking us for a wild game, and we bring it back and share the harvest with a whole lot of people. It's a fun thing, you know.
Okay, Ken, let me ask this question, Ken. How did you feel when you went on your first hunt?
I went out with him a lot, actually working on the filming part of it.
Right.
So he took me for the first time we went out, actually on a date, was on a pheasant hunt. And it wasn't so much about the hunt as it was about everybody having a good time and laughing and being into nature. So, you know, I was just starting then. His friends, of course, they were a little nervous about me having a firearm and you know, being with all the guys. They're like, okay, but Wayne, he was the type, he said, no, women need to be involved in this as well. You know, so that's how that happened. And then I did my turkey hunt. It went well. We was in the blind and sat there, and it really was enjoyable because as soon as we finished, you know, they had the little guy there. He would dress it and package it for you, and you take it home. And then we actually went home that weekend and cooked our turkey. So it was great, you know.
What about ducks? How involved you are hunting ducks, and what do you normally use? Like people put out decoys and things like that. How do you set that up?
Well, the guys they actually are in this grassy area, and they lay down into they lay down. It's crazy, and then they wait, and they just sit up there watching the world go by, and then when it's time, and all the birds are coming around, and it's time, and then they start shooting. I mean, and they're great. It's like it's an art to it, you know. So we have a good time. I feel like the guys are happy. They're so happy, and then they bring out their bats and they eat. So everything that they harvest, they actually use as a food source to eat. Okay.
Well, you know, right now, you know, this is so interesting. We just been joined by your buddy Candace, Chuck DeBow from our National Chamber of Commerce. Chuck, Candace, you remember Candy and Wayne?
Hello, of course.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. What a pleasure to hear your voice.
You too. It's been a while, you know. It has totally been a long time.
I was just coming in on the end of that conversation. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but it sounded pretty nice.
Well, right now, okay, we got a lot. We got Mr. M.C. Richardson, okay, who's one of our chamber members here, and he has a show that we do every Saturday called Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, and what happened is Cheyenne is under the weather, and so MC stepped in, and so did Candy. And so we're talking right now about the fishing derbies and about what we were talking when you came on was Candy on her first date that she went fishing was it pheasant hunting, Candy?
Yes, my first outing was a pheasant hunt, and it was fabulous. I mean, because you're out in open spaces, the air is like fresh. It's so fresh out there. It's just totally different and peaceful, and you know, I was just blown away with it, and that's how I kind of really started getting into this. I said, this is great. And what happened a little bit after that, I took hunter ed classes, and I got certified to teach hunter ed. So I did that for a little bit, and firearm safety. Yeah, I learned. I had a great mentor, Dave Wyatt. He trained me a lot. So I also got my concealing carry and all of those different things that come with that. And it was actually a great education because what I found out, I think in 2005 I took the conceal and carry, and what I found out is when they were starting that stand your ground rule. That's it. And when I was in there, I was like, okay, this is not, there's something about this that bothered me. And I would call different people, and I'm like, are you all familiar with stand your ground and the chapel laws? And I said, this sounds like a recipe for disaster for our community. And Trayvon Martin was, when it was used on him, it was like a test case. When they used that, they proved that it worked for them. And it's just like all the fears that I had in my heart about that came through with that unfortunate incident.
You know, Candy, you basically sent me a message here, okay? But something I read online yesterday that you sent, that I think it's in South Carolina, something that's taking place, people know about this, that they're not going to have firing squads.
Yeah.
Where they're going to be, when people, they've been put to death, rather than put them in the electric chairs and, poison them, they're going to have a firing squad. And that kind of chills in my body. That's my response to you, okay? So right now, since I got all three of you guys together here, I got Chuck, I got MC, and I got Candy. What are your thoughts about when you hear that there will be a firing squad that's been made legal in the United States for execution?
I think that's very ignorant. I think they're going back to the Dark Ages, and it should not be allowed upon American soil to have a firing squad. And we have a problem with our legislators all across the country. They're old, white, male, and some of them are angry, and they have these thoughts of like they're disappearing, and that's not true. And so with that fear, they create laws like that, and that should not take place. That should not happen. I think we're better people, a better country than that, and we got to get to the beautiful part of being American and living in America and have different kind of rules and laws on the book.
Okay, MC, you go next.
Okay, when you talk about firing squads, I think about people like Mexico and places like that, but also the state of Kansas when they wanted to, the death penalty was hanging. I don't know if that's still true in Kansas or not. Candy could probably tell us, but firing squads and all that, they would have about 6 or 7 people there, or maybe more. And only one of the gun they said would be loaded with actual live bullets. And then we go to then about the hanging thing we talked about Kansas. Is that still true?
Well, right now, MC, the law was just passed recently and signed by President Biden that mentioned hanging right now is legal in the country right now.
Okay.
Okay, Chuck?
I think it's just disgraceful, terrible, horrible. And I can't even imagine who's introducing this stuff. Where is it coming from?
Like I said.
It is beyond going backwards. And, everything that we built on. And so, throw everything else in the basket with that. Reversal of civil rights. The reversal of human rights. I mean, we're up here debating and talking about whether or not we're scared of Russia escalating versus saving people's lives. I mean, over what? Because of the price of gas? And so these governors, man, they made a statement. So they just, in Maryland and Virginia, they were able, I think, to bring the price down maybe as much as 50 cents or more per gallon because they suspended the state tax on gas. So that's somebody doing what they can do towards the positive, to contributing to working together to help in the situation. We're not getting that. And I totally agree with a failure to represent. It's like we elect people, we put them in there, but what is their interest? Who are they representing, or what interest are they representing? Anyway, that whole thing about firing squad is disgraceful, it's disgusting, and I can't even imagine what logic there is to that. I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I'm sure, but you're never sure about anything anymore. Anything's possible. We're in a crazy time, and we are in a transitional time for the role government leadership plays in the scheme of things. It's like, if that's where they're getting to, because they're really moving to, everybody's going to deny it. They didn't want to hear it, but we've been hearing things about, Bernie Sanders and his group, about his sympathy towards socialism and all this stuff about socialism. And then you get these relationships, these contacts they have with Russia or communist countries. And, and there was a laugh out when okay, so we're going to sanction Russia, but we'll go ahead and allow Russia to go into Iraq and build nuclear facilities as a concession, so we can buy petroleum for them. They'll buy petroleum from Venezuela, but don't you dare think about trying to produce more petroleum here in America. This is thing about, we're going to force a greener, cleaner air and society, and we're going to make you pay for it. Instead of making the price of an electric car needs to come down some for everybody to be able to afford it. or to give us a choice. So the firing squad, put that over there with all this other stuff that's kind of being forced on us in a way, and that's the only way that something like that might happen. But I can't imagine who does it serve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
we're back on the gas thing. All the major companies that we only get a certain percent for Russia anyway. So it's not the administration that's making the gas high. It's the gas companies. You have Exxon, Mobil. They've all made $billions of profits over the 2 years. They could afford to take the gas down. So they're playing us. This doesn't have anything to do with any president before. This president, they don't control the gas price. Those organizations do, and they make profits, and they should be made to bring down. You know, so they're using us, and that the 1% is actually making a whole lot of money, and everybody else is getting poor. And the inflation, you know, the corporations, they all made billions of dollars of bonuses. So they always kind of like doing us. And we shouldn't, as the people, have to suffer from all of their games that they're playing. These are rich people games.
You know, one of the things, okay, that about socialism, okay, well, that's being communist. That's where that came from. That's not what our country was built on.
No, but our country is a mix. It is a mix because when you talk about socialism, the public library was a social program. Building of the roads was a social program. So when people say that, I'm like, are you sure what you're talking about? Because there's a dividing line between that and other things. Right now, I just heard on TV they had all your ministers on evangelical preachers up there saying that if you're a Democrat, then you're a communist, and then you're not a Christian. I'm like, where are you all getting this information from? Because that is not true. You cannot lump all people into the same basket. But people on the ground, they want to be able to go home, turn on the lights and the TV, feed their family. They want to be able to go to work and get paid a fair wage. And, go to school, so, public library social, the roads are social, the bridges, all of that is under that. But we are a capitalist society. So, I mean, it's a combination. We have a combination. So when they point their finger and say, well, they want this and that, people just want to live and breathe. Everybody's not trying to be ultra rich, but they want a good life to be able to pay and not become homeless. So a lot of people that are making decisions, they're ultra rich and they're out of touch with the average mom and dad on the ground.
Amen. Well, I tell you what, MC and Candy, right now, what I'd like to do, this is Chuck's time right now, Chuck. So right now, if you be so kind, you guys, please hang on if you want to, okay?
Well, let me say this before we're talking about the gas refineries. Why is the thing happening 400,000 miles away from the United States? The gas prices just soar.
They're all in it together, but Russia only provides for America maybe 18%, which is low. But we have plenty of reserves. We have so much gas, we do have that. And that's why the president said he's going to release some of that, and the gas prices will go down in America. When Trump was in there, when the gas went up for a minute, then it went back down. We were paying $5 a gallon. So this happens all the time. They control a lot of this, but we're all connected, and we feel the front.
May I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
When I was in Germany 22 years ago, gas was already $5 a gallon, so it was always high over there. The prices here have gone up and down because of the reserves, but in Europe, gas has always been high. There's never been a subsidy for it.
That's true.
You know, and this is they talk about the gas being $7 or $6 over there right now. That's normal.
Yes, it is. You're right. Overseas has always been high.
Yeah.
But we
So
have,
while y'all talking about it, Scott, why did they drive on the wrong side of the steering wheel's on the right side instead of here in America it's on the left side? Why is that?
Because of chivalry, actually. Because as a chivalrous person, for example, you stay on the right side of a lady, so you can draw your sword.
Okay.
And they put the same logic to cars.
I didn't know that. Did you know that, Scott? I mean, MC?
Why you think I brought up? I'm from Missouri, the show me state. And I was also in the service, you know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, that comes from hundreds of years of chivalry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I didn't know the reason why it was on the left and right side, but I know different countries like Australia, overseas, and all that. It was always the steering wheel was on the opposite side of what we have here.
Well, not Germany and not most of the world, but in your English conquered countries like Hong Kong and like Australia, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
you learn something here. On that note, Scott, MC Richardson, Candace, Superstore, as you honor our women this month. Thank you for being who you are and all this. And thank you for producing a beautiful daughter named Cheyenne also. And you have two other girls. What's their names?
oh, you talked, Candace and Chanel.
Chanel, thank you very much. You have a...
Oh, Chanel's on with us?
No, we just was telling about Cheyenne's sisters, you know.
Oh, okay, right.
She wasn't the only one that was Candy with, you know.
They all were very busy and productive, and unfortunately today Cheyenne got hit by allergies real bad. It hit her this morning. She was fine, and then she went out and it hit her. So, you know, spring, getting ready to spring here. So, spring is spring.
Okay, on that note, check your boat. What's going on around the world in NASDAQ Human Commerce?
Thank you, and bye.
Thank you, guys. Okay, Chuck, go ahead.
Well, you know, these elements of what reality is, we're very much in the middle of it. We're part of it. And we're working to provide some resources and connect people up with them so that we're not totally left out or without some kind of GPS or some idea where we're going, what we're trying to do. This is a time to take note. I mean, it's like I've heard a lot of people reacting, a lot of black folks reacting to this stuff like with Russia and talking about what's it got to do with me. Well, you got to kind of read the tea leaves of the trail that you're on, and you can kind of project or see eventually how that trickle down is going to definitely affect us. We have a problem overall that, you know, Ira, you may have been familiar with it. There was a study that came out a few years ago that just talked about the median wealth of black Americans will fall to zero by the year 2053 if we don't change our course. And you can't, you know, it's a mentality or a cultural conditioning that a lot of us, particularly those that are not owning their own business, meaning that you gotta sign your own check, you gotta make your own money, but you know you get a paycheck, and regardless of whether they had a good week or a bad week, you're gonna get paid up to a certain point. Used to be you got paid till the company went all the way out. Well, what happens is you start saying, well, that don't really affect me, or that doesn't really, I don't have to become proactive. I don't have to have an opinion on it. Well, these education are the core things, the church, the core things of who we are and what we're doing and what are we trying to do. eventually you got to pay. It comes in with a cost to not be worried about education or not be worried about your neighbor and their plight, because your neighbor might also be your customer, or they may be that person that has some kind of insight that could share with you if they figure it out. So we're working on, to answer your question, Ira, we're working through scholarships, and that's another thing that you got to almost grab somebody by the hand and sit them and tell them what value something has in it, because you could put it on the table in front of them, but they're like, so what's that? And so we say, well, it's a scholarship that in this case you could get, in 6 months you could get certified to be a cybersecurity expert under the standards that Google has established, and you can come out and get you a $150,000 job right away. And they might even want to start recruiting you kind of like the way they do athletes before you even finished with it. But that's one way where you've learned a skill, and if you don't even have to have a college degree. I think they want people who've done some high school for it. Yes, sir.
Well, right there, Chuck. On our Blockchain Academy, okay, we had one of our students, okay, who was already being recruited before he completes the course. So what you just said, people are looking, and they're looking for people right now. With the scholarships that we providing people.
Well, I haven't announced it yet. I haven't told anybody, but we got a whole other scholarship program that is crazy. I mean, it's 200,000 scholarships that they're giving out, and it's a $600 million program, and it's companies like Facebook and Google and IBM and some top educational institutions that are making it happen. And we're fortunate that we've been invited to help not only match up the student part of it with the scholarships, but also on the job placement. So we're going to be talking a lot more in the immediate future about, these are the kind of degree or certificate in this case where you will have a job matched up with it. It won't be one of those where you go in debt and all that, and you come out and you can't find a job. These are the companies taking things in their own hands because they can't find the type of people they need to run their business.
Chuck, one of the things here that I'm happy to say that when we started, the American marketplace, and then I was on the call we got from Ryan about the Blockchain Academy. Well, that program, okay, these two programs that were created through the National Chamber of Commerce have been seen around the country, okay, and corporate America is saying, how can we be a part of this? But they're saying that it connects people to jobs, and they got trained people in the area they want to be trained in. And they said they can do this for cryptocurrency. Why not? I can do it in my industry, and that's what they're doing. You thought about it that way? And again,
absolutely. But that's why this one. Here's the other side of the overall thing we're talking about. You got politics, you got commerce, and you got reality over here. And these businesses are saying, well, we're not, politics and what they're doing and what they're saying, if it's not profitable for us, let's leave that alone. Let's let it be whatever it's going to be, or we'll have our government affairs department deal with that. We got to go over here and get to this bottom line.
Thank you.
Of whether we're making a profit or not. I mean, that's the black and white for them, for the owners of these companies. It's big money. Man, it's a crazy time to where they already know where this thing is going.
Yes.
And they already know that unless you get over on the other side of the line of what maybe now is the middle class, in the future that might be the poverty line. But if you don't get over here, if you don't figure out how you're going to make money, how you're going to sustain, or how you're going to educate your family, feed them, and where you're going, and what you're going to do, you're going to be in trouble, and there's not going to be any place to do it. I mean, to get help, or to, like it was, the welfare program and public housing. It may continue to exist, but it also may drop to standards to where it's really unacceptable. Or I mean, by whose standards? You know what I mean? It's like, this is what you got. Take it or leave it.
And we got jobs right now that's unbelievable all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place. Some people don't want them, and other people saying, "Well, I outgrew it. I'm doing something else now."
Yeah.
You know, so it's not doom and gloom, but it's like, man, stand up, have fun, let's go. We in this. We're not just taking it and laying back. So you could say we're being proactive. The National Black Chamber, our federation, we're bringing more solutions and more resources. We've got more grant programs coming. We've got several. We're anticipating the utilization of this Juneteenth federal holiday. A lot of companies say, well, we want to do something for that. Well, you know, just like every other kind of holiday, if it's Valentine's Day and we're selling chocolates or flowers or date night or travel or this or that, it's a holiday and they spin it. So Juneteenth, even though it's a day, it's a month of celebrations, and there's a lot of activities and things about it, and even in some ways, you can market to the general market. You know, it doesn't just have to be to the black audience or the black clientele. It's a lot we can do. So we're going to keep fighting and keep trying and keep having ideas and offering them and sharing them and asking everybody for their opinion.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to, you know, as we grow and expand, because I will say one thing greater than ever before, we need some directions, okay, and leadership, and make, I guess with so much being out there, people got to know where can I go to one place and get as much information as I can in most areas. And that's where the manufacturing and commerce kind of comes in at. Would you agree?
You know, in some ways, we definitely have some answers, you know, and our website, which we're building an updated version of, has a lot of information in it, but more importantly is where we can certainly point you in the right direction. Now, one of the issues out here is a lot of this information isn't readily available. You know, they've had to, like, here's one that just came about. They had to use the Freedom of Information Act to get the trial data and the historical data from Pfizer on how has the deployment and application of the vaccine been going on. You know, and it's my brother, the dear Right Reverend, and you know, it was disclosed that there's 14 to 1,900 side effects. I think I mentioned that, but you know, it took the Freedom of Information Act to just say, come on, y'all can tell us about it. You know, maybe together we can help put some logic or some rhythm or rhyme to it and offset some of the phobias about it. You know, it's like you could drive down the highway at 70 miles an hour, but if you dropped it down to 55, look at the statistics. Or we added seatbelts, or we just did this a little bit different, how much more safety it becomes. One of the other things, too, Ira, I'm going to share about our grant program and some of the scholarships and other things we're doing. We found that businesses that accept mentoring, that embrace it and get involved with mentoring, have an increase of 44% in sales. Wow. Their sales increased 44% because they stopped and they talked to somebody. They got some other input. They tweak, they fine tune, and in a sense, it's like coaching. You know, when some of these we're in March Madness now, but when a basketball player gets with the right coach, they ascend. They get better. But you gotta want it. You gotta seek it. It's education, it's training, it's exposure. There's a lot of stuff out here, and it doesn't take much to figure out which ones are gonna help you.
Well, Chuck, as usual, the thing that is always our enemy, and that never change, is our clock.
always a pleasure. And I'd like to suggest that we dedicate a show and program and talk about religion in our lives, in our daily life, in our businesses, and not so much like the church part of it, but just on the principles and basis of what we've learned in what the Bible has told us or whatever. And you don't have to believe it as much as you can say it said this here. Now that where are we in our lives? So you got something somewhere that you could just say, well, I don't know if it makes sense or not, but it certainly adds up. You talk about I can't even think of the guy's name that predicted the future. Nostradamus. Nostradamus, man, he said all this stuff way back, but it was based on something. You know what I mean? And they've seen it. So the Bible isn't all. Bible, you can argue it isn't fictitious, but I said all that because Reverend, I really would love to have you share some of your knowledge and experiences with us in the near future.
I will. So what we'll do, he does it every show. What we'll do, Chuck, next month, okay? You come on the other part of the show for the whole show, okay? And we'll do that with Rev and the gang. We get some people involved. We'll do that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about just how it cross-sections, and in my case, I talk about how it cross-sections business, but I'm talking about principles and something as simple as customer service.
Right, yeah. Yeah, treat people right.
I mean, respect or something.
Like it all through Proverbs, they teach you about that. I respect people.
And man, it's like somebody is having a bad day. Maybe they cut a girl, got a knife, cut her friend. Her friend calls the police. The police shows up, and she's in that moment. She's in that thing, and all of a sudden she lunges at the police, and they shoot her dead. You got another guy over here in D.C. You probably heard about him. They thought they gave him a serial killer. He's shooting
Washington and New York.
Yeah, and his father comes out on the news once they identify the guy and says, you know what, he's had mental health issues for a while. So whereas he's they arrested him, he ain't dead yet, I don't think, but he shot all these homeless people, whatever. It's like, damn, what'd they do to you? Or what's that about? So that's what I'm saying now. We're gonna take our own responsibility for each other. And Ira, like, when you got a problem, you'll call me and you'll tell me, I don't think that was right. Where do you sit on this? Where do you stand on that? And we'll talk about it, and it ends up being some therapy to it. And I'll come right and say, you know what, Ira, you're right. I could have done a better job on that, or maybe I didn't do this. And it gives me a reason to review, to rethink. This is like coming on this show. I got to hear from other people about what their lives are like, or what their perspective, what premise that they live life from. Well, anyway, I'm going overtime. I appreciate it.
Well, let me say one thing, okay, on the air here, okay, with Chuck, I put Chuck, every night Chuck gets a Bible verse from me, don't you, Chuck? And every night, he may get in the morning time, then I send him a Bible verse, some scripture, I should say, and that is, have some of the things that we do together, right, Chuck?
Yeah, but I appreciate it because you sent me one night. The first one that I was like, oh my God, this is just hit the money too close to home. It's like, whoa. It's like, somebody told you, somebody said you said this to Chuck. And I've been through some stuff. Let me tell you something. I haven't seen enough death to last me for the rest of my lifetime, even though I just know I'm at that point now, that I have to embrace it.
Well, Chuck, and then life is good. Listen, Ferguson, USA, HotRadio.com. My name's our folks. That's Chuck DeBow. That's Reverend Lyles. That's Scott Owens. Not Missouri by Chamber of Commerce. Ferguson, USA, HotRadio. Thank you so much. Life's good. Have a great week.